Hello caffeine fiends and welcome to another coffee review video for www.getbeaned.com. I'm Vince the Mean Bean Machine and today is a glorious day, a wonderful day, for today is the day King Charles III is crowned. It's his coronation. Our new king, our new head of state, defender of the faith. Yes, that is his real title, look it up. So I thought I would celebrate by trying a coffee from a country that really knows how to treat royalty, France. So Etienne are a small chain up and down the country. I think they're probably in a fairly specific region, but there's a few of them about. I've tried the one in Castres, or Castres. I can't pronounce it properly because I'm not French. But a small little town, not that small. Anyway, south of France. They've got an Etienne there, and it's sort of like a kind of boutique, bougie kind of coffee place. The French are a bit weird with their coffee. Their general supermarket coffee, their roadside coffee, as it were, is considerably better than ours. However, they don't really do specialty coffee in the same way that the Brits do. So it's kind of hard. I mean, the big cities do. I found specialty coffee in Albi. I'm sure Paris has more than enough specialty coffee shops. Toulouse, places like that. However, in general, the French don't have the same coffee culture that we do, because we largely imported it from the Americans, who imported it from the Italians and the Greeks. So, although we, as a nation, the British, have a weird sort of kind of cultural crossover in so many ways, where we're not truly European. We won't sit for hours over a cup of coffee, but we're not 100% Americanized. We won't just kind of rush in, pick up a takeaway and rush off. So anyway, Etienne, yes, small chain. I've been to the one in Castres, and the point I was trying to get at is that they tend to do a lot of the flavoured kind of almost Starbucksy kind of. There's very nice syrups and whatever on their coffees, and you're almost like, oh, this isn't really specialty coffee. However, what they do is import and kind of source pretty decent coffee beans, and this one in Castres has kind of a wall of coffee beans that you can pick out and choose from. Now, I have not done that as of yet, but this is one of those bag of beans sourced from that legendary wall. By the way, I have a review of that Castres establishment on site, so do go read that in our European section. So this was sent to me, so I am now going to try a bit of my schoolboy French to try and understand what is going on here. So it's 100% Arabica, thank God, and it is Ethiopian. So it's a nice single origin Ethiopian Moka Ekempti, which is a good sign. Should be fairly fruity, I would imagine. Doesn't. God knows how I'm gonna kind of get any tasting notes from this. So, Corset et Race. So, lively and racy? Racy? Is my coffee racy? Good God, we've stumbled at the first hurdle. Racy, interesting. Origin Ethiopia, I can do that. So yeah, that's where I'm sort of expecting a fairly floral, almost acidic, possibly kind of fruity note. Torrefaction brune, so kind of a medium roast, brown roast, I think. May in 1907 and Blendure d'Avignon, La Brûlerie Artisanale de Café de Père Etienne. So, the roastery, starting in 1907, the roastery is from Avignon, the original roastery, and then it's kind of grown from there. And I think that's as far as my French will go. However, 250 grams of this bad boy. I can't give you a price. I didn't buy it. It was sent to me. So, sorry. But yeah. So what am I expecting from this? Well, medium roast, coarse and racy. I expect acidity. One, because if you've ever tried French coffee, it's acidic as hell. Some no, there maybe kind of slight floral hints. From what I know of Ethiopian coffees, they lend themselves to black coffees. They are quite fruity and you kind of get quite a nice burst. I'm not expecting it to be great for oat latte, but we will see. So, as always, I have my espresso shot, my oat latte, and my glass of water to cleanse the palate between the two. So, yeah, there's not a lot more I can add to that, just because my French is bad and I didn't buy this. But, let's see what we think of Etienne's Ethiopie Moka Ekempti. So we'll try the espresso, my nice new doggy espresso. Oh, so give it a sniff. There's a real fruitiness that comes off the top of it. Really fruity. I'm expecting strong berry flavours after that. There's a slight kind of wetness to it, and don't get me wrong, I know it's a liquid. Don't be in the comments going, of wetness, you know what I mean. So I wonder if there'll be a slight kind of grassiness to it, but expecting fruity berry, probably quite acidic. So here goes. Initial reaction is a lot milder than I thought, a lot milder. But then there is that kind of second wave of flavour. There's no harshness to it. It's almost as if the acidity has sort of been roasted out. It's not dark roast by any means. But the fruitiness is there, but there's no kind of acidic bite. It's very mild for an espresso shot. I'm going again, and there's a richness to it. Oh, there we go. A sort of a base richness, kind of basey, that basey chocolatey tone. But yeah, kind of almost a blackberry pinch to it, but there is no bite. There is no bite, which is really weird because you get the fruity tone and then you're expecting the acidic bite, and it just never comes. And there's that there is a slight acidity that sits at the bottom of your throat, and you kind of go, oh, that's weird. That's just not what I was expecting. Not in a bad way, but you just expect a bit more punch, a bit more, attack. And since it says racy. Also, I apologise to any French watching this if I am butchering the pronunciations. I don't speak French. I'm sorry. I tried Spanish, and I don't think I do their pronunciations any good. So, sorry, but I'm trying. Where was I? Yeah, I just expect a bit more bite, a bit more of a kick. And the flavours that you associate with that acidity are there. And then it almost sinks, you almost kind of, it touches your tongue and you go, berry flavours, there'll be a sharp sting to this. And then it just sinks to the bottom of your throat, and then you kind of go, oh, and there's the acidity. But it waits until it's kind of almost dissipated and then goes, up. So it's an odd one. It's an odd one. But it's pleasant. But I want more, I sort of expect more from it. You finish off, so I've finished off that shot. And then there's sort of a not rough, but definitely a kind of intensity to it right at the end, a sort of kind of classic coffee, just kind of bitterness that isn't there as you're drinking, and then right at the end you kind of go, oh yeah, there it is, there it is. Which largely a lot of other, or certainly over here, a lot of kind of specialty coffees have sort of eliminated that. But it's almost like a classic what you would expect from coffee, if you see what I mean, that stereotype of strong black coffee. And I think, and this is purely my own observation. I'm not a culture writer or, travel blogger by any means, but I feel like from what I expect of French coffee, that's what they expect. They expect a certain bitterness, a certain strength, with the, you want a strong black espresso and a cigarette. That is a stereotype, I'm joking. But I feel like their coffee palate is not rougher. That sounds snobby. They expect a darkness and a more of a bitterness to their coffee than we do. We've become too attuned, or not too attuned, we've become attuned to sugary drinks. And then I think our specialty coffee comes from the kind of Australian importation of it, which comes from kind of Greek origins, Greek and Italian origins, and is more about the different flavour palettes now. So that adheres to my kind of coffee stereotypes of Europe or at least France. But I would have expected a bitterer coffee, to be honest. But it has that element to it, so it's an interesting one. It's really interesting. So it will be very intriguing to see how it evolves in a latte, or certainly in an oat latte, because oat milk is quite sweet. Relatively neutral of all the plant milks. I find rice milks and coconut milks a bit too sweet. They affect the coffee a bit too much, if you see what I mean. But I expect with that mildness, actually, that could be quite pleasant as an oat latte, because it has that kind of bassy chocolate tone. It's almost all European coffees, at least. But the fruitiness doesn't have the acidic bite, so the milk isn't fighting the acidity. So it could be kind of really pleasant and really kind of rich and really bring out those chocolatey tones, those notes. So here goes on that front. Yeah, as expected. I think that's probably the first prediction I've done on one of these reviews where I've gone, oh, actually, I've got that right. That is really chocolatey in terms of coffee notes, because the acidity just isn't fighting it. So this rich kind of chocolatiness really comes through, which is very nice, very pleasant. But it really throws you from the espresso to the latte. You're kind of going, yeah, that's pretty fruity, to wow, that's intensely chocolatey. And not even a dark chocolate. There's kind of a light milkiness to it, obviously because of the oat milk. But sometimes you'll drink a coffee and go, wow, that's an intense dark chocolate flavour. But that is kind of a light chocolate flavour, but that just permeates through, and there's not a lot more to it. It's not too complex, and I'm not saying that as a complaint. Sometimes you don't want a complex coffee. This is, I tell you what, actually, you take the initial sip, and there is that not a fruitiness, but there is a flavour. You are kind of piqued by a flavour and then suddenly hit by the chocolatiness. So if you're swallowing it down, if you're just kind of chugging it, you're going to kind of go, yeah, that's chocolatey. I think if you sip it a little, you get a bit more of that delicate more of the delicate flavours. But ultimately, that is a nice chocolatey coffee latte, an unchallenging espresso that then kind of slightly turns your head at the end. So I'm going to go away and think about it, but ultimately, I think that's a perfectly pleasant coffee. Ultimately, I would have that latte day in, day out. That's a great daily latte coffee for me. I'm going to go away and think about it. In the meantime, do hit those like and subscribe buttons. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter. Not Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I am. The coffee isn't. But I'm on Twitter and the Instagram and TikTok. That's the one I couldn't remember because I'm a millennial, not a Gen Z. But I do have it. I'm working with it. So there we go. Anyway, yeah, hit the buttons, subscribe, give me those views and likes and comments and whatever else. In the meantime, I'll see you in a little bit.
Really quickly, my final thoughts on the Etienne Moka Ekempti. 3 stars, bang in the middle, perfectly lovely coffee from Ethiopia, and just, you know, delicate coffee. It is a delicate coffee, but with notes of berries and kind of a strong chocolatey undertone. I haven't got much more to add than that. There's not a lot to it. I feel like it's a very standard but perfectly pleasant coffee, and I like it. I would recommend if you're going to have it as a daily drinking coffee. Give it a go if you're ever in France and pass an Etienne or want to kind of buy online. Otherwise, do click the like and subscribe buttons, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.